She grabbed my arm and spat. "Run while you can." But I tightened my grip and drew my blade. Cadet Ryland Thorne stumbles breathless into the heart of Fort Draxilus's ruined courtyard. Thick smoke coils upward from shattered battlements, weaving through the morning haze as distant enemy war machines rumble ominously. His boots crunch on cracked stones scattered with charred debris, each step echoing the weight of impending battle. Once a bastion of imperial might, the fortress now teeters on the edge of collapse, a fragile ember poised to ignite rebellion. The heavy scent of scorched timber and burning oil lingers, mingling with the metallic tang of blood, a grim stage where courage will be tested and defiance born. Rebel sniper Sarah's call lowers her rifle scope, her voice slicing through smoke and chaos. "Your evacuation ship's gone. This is a one-way fight." The harsh reality crashes down like artillery fire. No retreat, no salvation. Ryland's heart hammers, torn between primal fear and rising resolve. Saris's fierce eyes lock with his, unwavering and commanding, conveying more than words, a silent dare to stand firm. The moment crystallizes, shifting their purpose from escape to resistance, binding them to a cause larger than survival. Boots skidding across scorched stone, Ryland's mind races as adrenaline fuels his defiance. "I signed up to learn war, not die in the first lesson," he mutters under breath, breath ragged but spirit unbroken. The battlefield is no longer a lesson. It is a crucible forging his soul. His fingers tighten on the hilt of his blade, flames reflecting off the steel as determination steals his gaze. The choice between fear and courage is clear. The fledgling cadet is reborn as a fighter, an ember ready to kindle the flames of rebellion. Behind them, the Imperial Legion's battering rams groan with unrelenting force, grinding against Fort Draxilus's ancient gates. Shellfire rains down, rattling parapets and sending showers of splinters and dust swirling into the air. Each thunderous impact shakes the walls, a relentless herald of destruction and despair. Yet amid the cacophony, the rebels steel themselves, their resolve hardening with every echo. The siege is no mere defense. It is a crucible, forging not only stone and steel, but the fiery spirit of a rebellion determined to endure. Saris thrusts a blood-caked gauntlet into Ryland's hand, voice low and fierce. "Then fight, or bleed." Time halts for a heartbeat as Ryland's grip tightens, his blade rising not with hesitation, but with newfound purpose. No longer a fledgling recruit, he becomes the living spark of rebellion's fury. That single act of defiance ignites a blaze beyond the fortress walls, a beacon for all who refuse to bow or flee. In that moment, the future is forged not by surrender, but by fire. Fort Draxilus, once the Republic's proud shield against tyranny, now lies shattered, walls cracked and crumbling, towers toppled by relentless siege. Flickering lights barely cling to broken battlements as smoldering embers scatter on windswept stone. The fortress's former grandeur is betrayed by scorched earth and twisted steel, a haunting monument to the cost of resistance. Each shattered arch and shattered banner whispers of a rebellion's fragility and a desperate fight to keep hope alive. Flickering hollow banners cling desperately to shattered pylons, flashing urgent warnings, code red, breach imminent. The crimson glow bathes the ruins in an ominous light, reflecting fear as much as protocol. Defenders dart beneath the pulsing alerts, their movements frantic against the gathering shadows. The relentless beeping cuts through the roar of battle, underscoring the fortress's precarious hold. Every blink intensifies the urgency, as if the very walls themselves tremble in warning. Automated turrets lie cold and silent, their barrels jammed or shattered by sustained assault. Ammo stores are bare, looted by deserters who fled in the dark of night. Saris and Ryland duck beneath a crashing turret arm, breath ragged. "Even our guns turn traitor," Saris mutters, voice bitter. The fortress's technological shields have failed, leaving human courage as the last line of defense. The weight of forsaken weapons presses on weary shoulders, where hope must now be forged anew. Sweat-soaked hands hammer nails into splintered wood and twisted metal, as rebel engineers cobble together ragged barricades. Each strike rings out, a desperate prayer hammered into every joint. Flickering torchlight dances over faces etched with grime and resolve. Saris surveys the patchwork shield, a fragile barrier against overwhelming odds. These makeshift defenses are more than wood and steel. They're symbols of willpower, fragile yet unyielding, staking a fragile claim against annihilation. Supply lines severed, Fort Draxilus's veins run dry. The last medical crate creaks, open to reveal a handful of scavenged morphine vials and tattered bandages. Medics exchange tired, knowing glances. Every wound now risks becoming fatal. The physical toll mirrors the mental strain, as exhaustion bleeds from open wounds and haunted eyes. Survival narrows to grit and determination, as the defenders cling to the last fragile threads holding their battered world together. Hope flickers faintly in the weary eyes of the defenders, faces streaked with dirt and fatigue. The weight of constant siege drains strength and spirit alike. Silent prayers escape trembling lips while shouted orders falter under the crushing pressure. Yet amid exhaustion, a small flame of defiance endures, waiting for a spark to ignite courage anew. In the shadows of ruin, the human spirit remains unbroken, poised on the knife edge between despair and resistance. Amid the chaos of collapsing debris, Saris and Ryland duck beneath a falling turret arm, breath ragged, muscles coiled for flight. "Even our guns turn traitor," Saris mutters, voice low and grim. Their sprint through the shattered courtyard is a desperate dance between death and survival, each step measured yet frantic. In this moment, their trust in each other becomes a lifeline, embodying the fortress's broader struggle, not only against an enemy, but against the erosion of hope itself. With battered bodies and spirits stretched thin, the defenders reach a breaking point, either to yield or to rise. As the enemy prepares for a final crushing blow, a solitary figure steps forward, embodying resolve and unyielding courage. Murmurs swell into a rallying roar as fighters gather, forging defiance into their last weapon. In the crucible of siege and shadow, heroes are born not of ease, but of unshakable refusal to surrender. In the shadowed corner of Fort Draxilus's battered courtyard, Saris presses a bloodied gauntlet into Ryland's trembling hands. "Precision over might," she says sharply, revealing a slender, hidden blade nestled within the wrist guard. Ryland's first attempt is clumsy. His fingers fumble, his muscles stiff with adrenaline and fear. But Saris's steady gaze never wavers, anchoring him with silent confidence. Drawing a slow, deliberate breath, Ryland strikes, quick, clean, the blade slicing through a torn scrap of fabric as practice. It's more than a lesson in combat. It's a baptism into survival itself. In this crucible of war, strength alone is wasted without control, and hesitation means death. Saris's mantra becomes his lifeline, transforming raw fear into focused power, readying him to face what lies ahead. As the distant echoes of battle hum through the stone corridors, Saris and Ryland crouch beside a flickering comm panel, patching frayed wires with trembling fingers. Ryland forces a grin, breaking the heavy silence. "So this is war school?" Saris's lips curl into a smirk, a rare softness lighting her fierce eyes. "Class just started," she replies, her tone laced with dry humor. Their quiet laughter bubbles up like a fragile ember amid the ruins, a defiant spark against the chaos surrounding them. These stolen moments of levity forge a connection far stronger than weapons ever could, reminding them both that beneath the armor of rebellion lies shared humanity. Even as gunfire cracks overhead, their smiles anchor them, proof that courage is nurtured not only in battle, but in the brief reprieves of hope. Within the infirmary's dim glow, Rylan kneels beside a wounded rifleman whose hands tremble with shock and pain. Guided by Saris's watchful gaze, Rylan's own hands are hesitant at first, fumbling to apply a makeshift bandage. But with each motion, confidence builds, the raw nerve of care, transforming him from uncertain cadet to steadfast comrade. Saris silently nods, her approval a quiet blessing that speaks louder than words. In this small act of compassion, trust takes root, a bond cemented not through orders or gunfire, but through shared humanity. The infirmary, flickering with candlelight and muted groans, becomes a crucible for unity. Here, amidst the echoes of suffering, the rebellion's true strength emerges. Not just weapons or tactics, but the healing touch that binds warriors together, sustaining the fragile hope that tomorrow might come. As a Legion patrol descends into the narrow alley, Saris and Rylan explode into motion, heartbeats pounding in tandem. Saris's compact plasma pistol ignites in a fierce backblast, its searing bursts painting the walls with flickering light and hissing energy. Her fire draws enemy attention and suppresses their advance, buying precious seconds. At her side, Rylan darts toward cover, muscles coiled with desperate purpose. Their movements sync flawlessly, a dance honed by instinct and trust, two lives intertwined in survival. The ruined city's shadowed corners bear silent witness to their perilous flight, each step weighted with the knowledge that failure means death. This narrow escape is more than luck, is the unspoken pact that neither fights alone. Through danger shared, their bond hardens, a testament that trust forged in fire can become a shield stronger than any armor. At the heart of the ruined city, beneath the flickering glow of dying embers, Saris turns to Rylan. The burnt-out forge, scarred and blackened by flames, stands as a solemn symbol of creation destroyed. Her voice drops to a whisper. "You didn't run." Rylan meets her gaze, exhaustion shadowed by newfound resolve. "I'd follow you anywhere," he replies steadily. In this quiet exchange lies the essence of their rebellion. Loyalty born not from duty, but from shared struggle and courage. The forge, once a place where raw metal was shaped into tools and weapons, now serves as their sanctuary of trust and transformation. Amidst ruin, hope is forged anew, not with fire and hammer, but with quiet conviction and unwavering unity. Rylan's journey is a mirror to the rebellion's own awakening, from frightened novice to fierce defender. Each trial in Fort Draxilis's crucible shapes him, his fear confronted and his courage kindled. Under Saris's steady mentorship, he learns that defiance is not reckless bravado, but a precise, deliberate act of will. Their shared struggles sculpt a bond stronger than steel, a microcosm of the larger rebellion's heart. Together, they embody a network of individuals whose humanity and trust become their greatest weapons against tyranny. Rylan's transformation inspires others, a beacon that courage can grow even in the darkest shadows. As the sun sets behind burning walls, the two stand silhouetted against the flames, symbols of a rebellion rising, ready to ignite the spark that will challenge an empire. Deep within the labyrinthine catacombs beneath Fort Draxilis, Rylan and Saris stumble upon a hidden chamber, its stone walls lined with dusty crates and ancient, flickering hollow schematics. Spread across a rugged table, faintly glowing blueprints reveal the design for a resonance cannon, an unprecedented weapon capable of harnessing energy vibrations to turn the fortress walls themselves into a mobile siege engine. The energy harmonics charted could devastate enemy lines by amplifying the very stones beneath their feet. This secret armory, long buried beneath rubble and time, ignites a fragile beacon of hope, a weapon born from the Republic's lost engineering archives, now their desperate gamble to shift the siege's brutal tide. Saris and Rylan pore over the blueprints, realizing the resonance cannon's terrifying duality. Its firing might shatter the Legion's siege formations, cleaving through armor and stone alike, but at a perilous cost. The fortress's fragile foundations, battered and scarred, could crumble from the energy backlash, burying defenders and invaders beneath collapsing walls. The gambit forces them to weigh salvation against sacrifice, the hope of victory against the risk of annihilation. Their grim expressions reflect the brutal calculus of war. Sometimes the price of freedom demands risking everything on a single, devastating strike. Ryland's voice falters as he whispers, "We'd save them or bury them." The heavy paradox settles between them, the weight of deciding who lives and who dies. Saris's gaze hardens, steel threading through her eyes. "We do both," she replies, her voice unwavering. Together, they embrace the ruthless mercy required by their cause, a final act that will deliver freedom yet may bury their own in its wake. This moment, raw and unflinching, captures the rebellion's heart, where hope and devastation intertwine in a grim but necessary dance. Among the scattered blueprints, Saris finds a worn note tucked in a brittle envelope. "Self-detonate if Legion seized." The engineer's grim fail-safe underscores the weapon's deadly stakes. This safeguard ensures that if the resonance cannon falls into enemy hands, the fortress will be destroyed rather than turned against the rebellion. Fingers trembling, Saris traces the faded script, each word a stark reminder of the brutal resolve behind the Republic's last defenses. The note cements their responsibility. Wielding this power demands unyielding courage, for their actions will echo far beyond the battlefield. Above the catacombs, the thunderous beat of Legion war drums reverberates through Fort Draxilis's shattered corridors. A digital countdown blinks ominously. T-minus 512 before the main gate is breached. Every second tightens the noose, ratcheting tension to a breaking point. Defenders rush to final positions, voices terse with urgency. The siege transforms from relentless pressure into a heartbeat away from collapse. Time becomes their fiercest adversary, and the fortress holds its breath, poised on the edge between destruction and desperate hope. With no time to lose, Saris and Ryland seize every comm channel, broadcasting the resonance cannon's blueprints and activation protocols across the fortress. Hollow messages flare across battered terminals and wrist displays, lighting sparks of renewed hope in weary eyes. Engineers abandon their tools to rush to the armory. Medics rally alongside soldiers ready to fight anew. The data torrent surges like a lifeblood pulse, stitching together scattered souls into a single force of defiance. In these final moments, knowledge becomes the weapon that turns despair into relentless will. Saris presses the bloodied gauntlet into Ryland's hand, stamping the resonance cannon's codename, Draxilis Hammer. The name reverberates through the chamber, transforming the weapon from mere machinery into a rallying cry for the desperate defenders. Ryland's grip tightens around the gauntlet, voice steady with newfound resolve. "Then let's forge victory." The codename embodies their shared commitment, a promise to shatter oppression, even if it means breaking their last bastion. It is more than a weapon. It is a symbol of resistance forged in fire and hope. They clasp forearms in the ancient marcher style, voices merging in a solemn vow, for the fallen, for the living. The ritual seals their pact amid flickering torchlight and stone echoes, a bond beyond words, binding their fates against the Legion's siege. Their pact honors those already lost and those still standing, embodying the rebellion's fierce determination to fight against impossible odds. In this moment, fear dissolves into unwavering solidarity, the promise to protect not just territory, but the very souls of their people. In the fortress's bowels, Ryland stands before the resonance coil, fingers steady despite the weight of the moment. He primes the ancient device, sending harmonic vibrations pulsing through stone and steel. Walls tremble with latent energy, the fortress itself awakening as a weapon forged from desperation. Every joint and beam vibrates in synchrony, the resonance spreading like ripples through the very fabric of their sanctuary. The activation sequence breathes life into the cannon, transforming Fort Draxilis from besieged ruin into an overwhelming force poised to strike. As the Legion's siege engines batter the gates with thunderous fury, Cerys and Ryland stand shoulder to shoulder atop the ramparts. The earth quakes beneath them, the fortress groaning with the unleashed resonance. With fierce determination, Cerys shouts, "Unleash hell!" The resonance cannon fires, a cataclysmic blast that tears through enemy ranks, shaking earth and steel alike. Against overwhelming odds, two rebels become the fortress's beating heart and hammer, their courage and unity turning the tide of battle. In that explosive moment, defiance becomes the fortress's greatest weapon. The resonance cannon fires with a cataclysmic roar that shakes the very ground beneath Fort Draxilus. A shockwave ripples outward, battering the Legion's siege lines with unstoppable force. Soldiers are hurled backward like ragdolls, their tight formations shattered into chaos. Siege engines, once formidable weapons of destruction, groan and collapse under the immense pressure, twisted metal scraping scorched earth. The fortress walls tremble but remain defiant, their ancient stones glowing faintly as if energized by the blast. For the first time in weeks, the tide of battle shifts palpably. Amid the rising dust and acrid smoke, the rebels glimpse a sliver of hope. Not just survival, but the chance to turn the enemy's advance into retreat. This blast born of desperation transforms the siege into a rallying cry for resistance. Across encrypted rebel comm networks and crackling battle nets, the message bursts forth. Draxilus stands. Rise, rebels. Hollow flares ignite like stars in hidden war rooms, ship docking bays, and refugee camps across distant systems. Fighters halt mid-action, miners pause their drills, and civilians in settlements stop to listen, eyes fixed on flickering hollow panels. The broadcast shatters the oppressive silence of fear, replacing whispers of doubt with a swelling chorus of defiance. Far beyond the battlefield, the resonance blast becomes a beacon, a symbol that even the mightiest siege can be broken by courage and unity. The rebellion's heartbeat quickens, spirits lifted by the fortress's triumphant roar, as hope surges through channels old and new. In the Legion's command towers, a storm of panic brews. News of the resonance blast sends shockwaves through the hierarchy as commanders hastily redeploy reserves to plug shattered lines. The calm confidence that once cloaked the Legion's advance cracks, revealing strained nerves and faltering morale. High-ranking officers argue heatedly over whether to retreat or launch a desperate counteroffensive. Reports flood in of crippled siege engines, scattered infantry, and emboldened rebels. The aura of invincibility that has long defined the Legion's conquest dissolves, replaced by anxiety and uncertainty. What was meant to be a swift, crushing siege now threatens to become a protracted and costly stalemate. The fortress's roar rattles the very foundations of the Imperial war machine. Amid the chaos, Ryland's voice cuts sharply through the static of patched-in comms. Hold fast. Tonight, we reclaim our home. His youthful determination sparks new fire in weary fighters. Squads regain cohesion as his call stitches together fractured lines. Where doubt threatened to erode resolve, his words stand firm as a lifeline. Around him, soldiers clutch weapons with renewed vigor, eyes hardening in commitment. Ryland sheds the last remnants of fear and uncertainty, stepping fully into his role as a leader forged in the crucible of battle. His rally becomes a beacon to all who refuse to surrender, a pulse of hope beating strong amid the fortress's battered walls. Cerys moves swiftly through fractured corridors turned triage centers, barking orders with fierce precision. She directs medics to secure and tend to the wounded, transforming chaos into coordinated care. Each life saved becomes a shield, strengthening the fragile line of defense. Her steady command infuses panicked defenders with purpose and calm, turning desperation into resolve. In the swirl of gunfire and smoke, Cerys's presence is a bastion of humanity, reminding rebels that survival depends not just on strength, but on protecting one another. The fortress's heart beats with collective care, as compassion becomes a weapon as vital as any blade or gun. Every alley, every crumbling corridor risks Legion counterattacks. To counter surveillance and prevent enemy strikes, Rylan severs all external uplinks, cutting off the fortress's digital trace. "We own this ground," he declares, his voice firm with authority. Without transponder pings, the rebels become ghosts, weaving unseen through shadowed passageways and shattered halls. Fighters communicate in whispered signals and hand signs, turning the labyrinthine fortress into a deadly maze of resistance. Each alley reclaimed is a hard-won victory, a promise that the rebellion controls not only territory, but the spirit of defiance itself. Invisibility becomes power, the unseen hand that turns the tide. The fortress transforms from a siege victim into a fortress of spectral resistance. Beneath shattered gates and battered walls, a surge of unity rises. Rebels and civilians, bound by shared hardship and hope, press forward as one. Flames flicker in their eyes, fists clench in determined solidarity. The momentum of resistance blends desperation with fierce resolve, coalescing into a single unstoppable force. The crushing weight of siege lifts, replaced by the electricity of collective will reshaping the battlefield. The battered gates begin to crack under the tide of advance, a symbol that rebellion, once a mere spark, now blazes as a roaring flame. Together, they embody a truth beyond tactics. Unity transforms despair into victory. Each step forward reclaims not just land, but hope itself. In the forge's flickering, amber glow, Rylan moves quietly among the wounded, each face telling a story carved by fire and sacrifice. He counts those bruised and broken, friends who bore the resonance blast's wrath. The air hangs heavy, thick with smoke and sorrow, every shallow breath a testament to lives nearly lost. Around him, the forge, once a place of creation and strength, now holds the solemn stillness of reckoning. Each injury is a silent echo of the battle's price, a fragile balance between survival and loss. In this somber sanctuary, the true cost of defiance settles deeply on his shoulders. Saris turns her back to the wounded, her voice a whisper barely heard over the forge's crackle. "I asked too much." The weight of command crushes her spirit. Every order has risked life and limb. Doubt flickers like the flames around her, shadowing her once unyielding resolve. She wrestles with the harsh truth that leadership demands sacrifices no one can fully bear. Her hands tremble slightly, betraying the silent storm within, a tempest of guilt and fear that no victory can fully erase. Stepping forward, Rylan gently takes Saris's trembling hand, grounding her wavering spirit. His voice is steady, resolute. "No, the cause asks what we give, not what we lose." His words kindle a fragile flame in the darkness, transforming grief into purpose. Together, they share a silent vow that tonight's sacrifice was not in vain, that amidst ruin, they have granted more than survival. They have given hope a chance to live. In that touch, doubt softens, replaced by the strength born from shared resolve and unspoken promise. The ancient fortress walls creak with the weight of memory, groaning under the burden of past battles and lost souls. Shadows flicker as if whispering secrets, their hollow echoes filling the space between Saris and Rylan. The silence between them stretches, a fragile rift carved by unspoken fears, regrets, and hopes. The stones around them seem to breathe the pain of defiance, mirroring the fragile thread of trust still binding their hearts. Though distance grows in quiet moments, the fortress holds their shared history, a living witness to sacrifice and resilience. Saris's voice breaks the silence, soft and tremulous. "Will you stay?" The question lingers, heavy with meaning, a plea for steadfastness beyond the battlefield, beyond the scars and sorrow. It asks if their bond can withstand the shadows that threaten to consume hope. In this quiet moment, time slows. The future balances on the edge of her words. The question is not merely about presence, but about enduring commitment to a cause larger than themselves, an unspoken challenge to carry the rebellion's fragile flame through whatever darkness lies ahead. Rylan meets Saris's gaze, his eyes unwavering as he nods. To the last ember. His vow is both a promise and a battle cry, a declaration to stand firm until the very last spark of hope fades. It embodies resilience born from despair, the fierce determination to carry the fight no matter the cost. His words rekindle a fire that doubt tried to smother, lighting the path ahead. In that solemn pledge, their shared fate crystallizes, binding them together in defiance of all that seeks to extinguish their cause. The Draxilis hammer sigil glows softly on their clasped gauntlets, pulsing like a heartbeat in the dim forge light, a living emblem of their renewed promise. As their forearms lock in the ancient warrior's grip, the symbol transcends mere metal, becoming a beacon of hope and unity. This glowing sigil carries the weight of every sacrifice and every moment of courage, the rebellion's collective spirit embodied in a single, steady pulse. Around them, the fortress breathes with emerald life, its walls humming the song of defiance. In this charged silence, their bond reignites, stronger and unbreakable. The battle's thunder rumbles through Fort Draxilis as civilians emerge from shattered shelters and crumbled homes, their faces a blend of fear, grit, and fierce determination. Clutching improvised weapons, rusted pipes, salvaged scrap, and sharpened tools, they surge toward the ramparts, hoisting banners fashioned from torn cloth, patched with bits of metal and paint. Their voices rise in defiance, each shout weaving into a chorus of resistance that swells beyond mere survival. From smoke-choked streets to battered walls, the rebels' ranks swell with newfound strength. This spontaneous tide, ordinary people transformed into warriors, turns the battered fortress into a beacon of hope. No longer merely a military stronghold, Fort Draxilis becomes a symbol of identity, a sanctuary where the fight is not just for survival, but for the very soul of their home and future. In the fortress's highest tower, Saris climbs the worn spiral stairs, the weight of history heavy in every creak beneath her boots. The beacon chamber, long dormant, groans as ancient mechanisms stir to life. With deliberate calm, Saris ignites the flare, a brilliant arc of fire soaring into the dusk. The blaze casts flickering shadows along the stone walls, spreading a warm glow that ripples over the citadel's jagged silhouette. As the beacon's light sweeps across the valleys and reaches distant watch posts, it sends a message of defiance and hope. The call, once a whisper lost to time, now roars like wildfire. Below, rebels and civilians pause their tasks, eyes drawn upward, hearts buoyed by the flare's promise. Fort Draxilis still stands, unyielding, alive, and rallying all who hear its call. Perched atop the fortress's shattered main gate, Ryland's voice breaks through the night, sharp and clear. "We are Draxilis." His proclamation bursts like thunder across the gathered crowd. Faces smeared with soot and sweat turn upward, fists clenched tight with fierce pride. The broken gates, once symbols of siege and surrender, transform into emblems of resilience and rebirth. The chant that follows is no mere cry. It is a baptism, a forging of identity in fire and defiance. Ryland's words weave the crowd into a singular force, their spirit ignited by the unyielding belief that no siege can crush their will. This moment is their reckoning and their renaissance, a declaration that Fort Draxilis lives not just in stone, but in every heart standing tall. Draxilis, Draxilis, the chant swells and cascades, echoing off fractured battlements and shattered towers. The voices of rebels, civilians, and defenders merge into a thunderous roar that drowns out the clash of weapons and grinding siege engines. This collective cry pulses like a heartbeat, each syllable a pledge of survival and solidarity. It carries with it the weight of sacrifice, hope, and unyielding spirit, weaving disparate voices into an unbreakable bond. The chant ripples through alleys and courtyards, washing away doubt and fear like a rising tide. In this powerful surge, the fortress itself seems to pulse with renewed life, transformed from a place of desperation into a sanctuary of unity and resolve, unyielding and unbroken. Beneath the pale moonlight, Fort Draxilus's ancient eyes, its observation towers and reactivated sensor arrays, flare to life in emerald radiance. These glowing sentinels pierce the surrounding darkness, their vigilant gaze casting long shadows that dance over the fortress walls. The structure breathes again, alive with the heartbeat of resistance and defiance. To friend and foe alike, the luminous eyes signal endurance, a refusal to yield. They watch not as prisoners trapped, but as guardians empowered, ready to meet any threat. This light, steady and unwavering, becomes a rallying point for the scattered defenders and a stark warning to the besieging legion. In the cold night, the fortress stands not just as stone and steel, but as a living symbol of hope, shining bright against encroaching darkness. In the fortress's heart, amidst flickering torchlight and distant echoes of battle, Rylan and Ceres clasp their battered shields together, a silent yet profound vow. Their eyes meet, fierce and unwavering, conveying a shared commitment for our home. This simple gesture seals more than a pact. It embodies the spirit of the rebellion itself. Around them, the fortress pulses with life renewed by unity and courage. The worn metal of their shields reflects the firelight, symbolizing resilience forged through struggle. Their clasp becomes a beacon to those who stand with them, a signal that together they embody the defiance and hope that will see Fort Draxilus reclaimed. In that moment, their solidarity becomes the fortress's greatest weapon, a shield against despair, a promise that they will fight, endure, and rise. The Legion's warships ignite engines and peel away from Fort Draxilus's orbit, their dark hulls streaking through star-streaked skies like shadows fleeing dawn. Commanders shout last-minute orders, faces pale with the realization that further resonant strikes could shatter their fleet. The once intimidating armada, symbols of imperial might, fractures in retreat, leaving the battered bastion beneath unchallenged. From the fortress battlements, rebel defenders watch the dwindling silhouettes, hearts swelling with cautious hope. This withdrawal is more than a tactical retreat. It is the first unraveling thread in the Empire's vast tapestry. Fear, as potent as any weapon, has tipped the scales, turning conquerors into fugitives. The skies breathe freedom for the first time in months, signaling that Fort Draxilus's resilience heralds the dawn of a new era. Across encrypted rebel networks, Ryland's voice booms through static and silence. Draxilus calls all to the banner. Join us now. The message crackles from hidden caves, starship hulls, and rebel outposts, piercing the quiet desperation that gripped scattered cells. Fighters in distant systems pause, eyes widening as dormant hope stirs awake. Civilians clutch makeshift weapons tighter, and commanders relay orders to muster strength. The single fortress's triumph becomes a rallying cry echoing through the void, transforming isolated pockets of resistance into a coordinated wave of defiance. Ryland's call blends hope and strategy, uniting diverse factions with a promise that together they will turn the tide. The rebellion, once fractured and furtive, pulses with newfound unity, ready to reclaim what was lost. In the throne hall, its grandeur marred but spirits unbroken, Sarah steps forward and gently places Ryland's bloodied gauntlet upon the reclaimed Draxilus hammer crest embedded in the cracked stone floor. "You are our champion," she declares, voice steady and rich with pride. Ryland looks up, a weary but fierce smile breaking through. "We are champions together," he replies. The exchange crystallizes the rebellion's soul, individual courage welded into collective strength. The once oppressive throne hall transforms into a sanctuary of unity, the scars on the walls mirroring the scars borne by their people. This moment of shared victory embodies a future where hope and solidarity outshine past oppression, and where every rebel's sacrifice is etched into the fortress's very foundation. Rebel tech specialists flood every secure comm channel with a resonance cannon's blueprints and activation protocols. Across star systems and hidden workshops, holoscreens flicker with cascading data streams as engineers eagerly download and replicate the designs. No fortress remains beyond reach. This open-source weapon technology democratizes power, transforming the rebellion from isolated cells into a galaxy-spanning network of fortified defiance. The torrent dismantles imperial monopolies on war machines, spreading hope in algorithms and circuitry. From cramped basements to vast shipyards, rebels assemble, retrofit, and innovate. This sharing of knowledge ignites a new front, where the Empire's walls crumble under the weight of collective ingenuity and courage. The rebellion's technical edge sharpens, signaling a shift from survival to conquest. Puppet governors across countless star systems feel the Empire's grip loosen as uprisings erupt with newfound vigor. Citizens once silenced by fear now swarm plazas and council chambers, toppling statues and tearing down banners of tyranny. Loyalist factions fracture under pressure, unable to withstand the groundswell of collective will. Power vacuums form as once unshakable hierarchies crumble overnight. News of 4 Draxilus's stand spreads like wildfire, inspiring distant worlds to cast off chains of oppression. The collapse is chaotic, rapid, and irrevocable, a domino effect reshaping galactic politics. Where once stood fear and control, now rises a tide of hope and sovereignty, affirming that even the mightiest empires can fall when the people unite in defiance. Beneath the shattered main gate, rebel leaders, civilians, and survivors gather in a solemn ceremony to sign the Charter of Draxilus, a historic document enshrining justice, shared governance, and stewardship for all liberated systems. The parchment, illuminated by torchlight and the first rays of dawn, symbolizes more than law. It embodies a collective vision for a galaxy reborn. Delegates from diverse factions affirm their commitment to unity and mutual respect. The signing marks a pivotal turning point, transforming Fort Draxilus from a fortress of war to a beacon of democracy. The ceremony echoes with hope, binding disparate voices into a chorus dedicated to rebuilding and protecting the freedoms hard-won through sacrifice and defiance. Across liberated planets and starports, the Draxilus hammer emblem flies proudly on flags, banners, and armor, its emerald glow a symbol of unyielding courage and resilience. Tales of Fort Draxilus's stand become legend, inspiring generations with stories of sacrifice and unity. The emblem transcends its origin, uniting diverse peoples under a common cause and reminding all of the power of defiance. It is both a rallying banner and a promise, a testament to the strength found in shared struggle. From dusty frontier towns to bustling capital worlds, the Draxilus hammer pulses as a living icon of hope, forever linked to the rebellion's spirit and the enduring fight for freedom. Fort Draxilus reopens its gates as a sanctuary of freedom and hope, welcoming refugees, rebels, and citizens alike. The once battered walls, stained by siege and sacrifice, now gleam beneath newly restored battlements, transformed into a symbol of renewal. Marketplaces buzz with life, children's laughter echoing through once silent courtyards, while council chambers hum with debates on rebuilding and governance. Schools teach histories of resistance, fostering pride and resilience. The fortress no longer stands as a prison or battleground, but as a beacon, its emerald-lit towers shining across starfields. Fort Draxilus's rebirth mirrors the galaxy's own transformation, marking a new era where unity, justice, and hope prevail beyond the scars of war. Amid the rubble of battle, citizens, young and old, gather with tools in hand, hammering, sawing, and laying fresh stones to mend Fort Draxilus's battered gates. Where scars of war once marked the ramparts, vibrant gardens now bloom, softening ancient stones with bursts of green. Flowers and fragrant herbs sprout through cracks, weaving life into the fortress's weathered facade. Children crouch to plant seeds beside weary veterans who share quiet smiles. Together, they nurture both stone and soil, transforming destruction into sanctuary. Each nail driven, each sprout coaxed to life, becomes an act of healing, both physical and spiritual. The fortress, once a symbol of siege and sacrifice, now stands renewed, a living testament to resilience and hope blossoming amidst ruin. Ryland steps confidently into his new role as trainer of the fortress's defenders, passing on hard-earned lessons in combat and courage to eager recruits. His leadership is marked not by authority, but by humility and shared purpose. He trains alongside them, forging strength through solidarity. Meanwhile, Ceres presides over the city council, navigating the delicate balance of justice, governance, and reconciliation with steady resolve. Together, they guide Draxilus through its fragile transition from war zone to community, blending defense readiness with democratic renewal. Their stewardship nurtures a city committed to safeguarding freedom while healing wounds. In every council debate and training session, their leadership embodies the rebellion's heart, a vision of renewal rooted in service, unity, and hope. Offered formal command of the newly formed militia, Ryland declines with a warm smile, stating simply, "I stand with them, not above." His decision breaks with tradition, embodying a leadership style built on equality and trust rather than hierarchy. The militia transforms into a brotherhood, defenders united by mutual respect and shared sacrifice. Ryland walks among his comrades, listening, encouraging, and fighting beside them, not from a throne, but shoulder to shoulder. This choice cements the rebellion's core values: courage tempered by humility and leadership defined by service. His example inspires others, showing that true power flows from the people, not from titles or rank, ensuring that the community remains the fortress's greatest strength. Hand clasped firmly in gauntlet, Ryland and Ceres stand atop the fortress ramparts, watching the first golden light of dawn spill across the rebuilt city. The warm rays scatter over rooftops, gardens, and bustling streets, where life now pulses vibrant and strong. Morning birdsong fills the air, mingling with distant laughter, a stark contrast to the silence that once hung heavy over war's aftermath. The fortress, reborn from ashes and rubble, stands as a beacon of endurance and hope. Their intertwined hands reflect the unity fueling this new era, a quiet testament that through shared struggle and resilience, even the darkest nights surrender to the promise of dawn. Around them, the city stirs to life, ready to write its next chapter of peace. In every town square across Draxilus, the towering statue of the Draxilus hammer rises, a living emblem of courage, sacrifice, and unyielding spirit. Children race and play at its base, their laughter a joyous soundtrack to the city's renewal. Elders gather nearby, animatedly recounting tales of defiance and hope, passing memories from one generation to the next. As dusk falls, the emblem's emerald glow softly illuminates the plaza, a constant reminder that even in the face of doom, courage endures. The statue is no mere monument. It is a seed planted deep in the community's heart, anchoring collective memory and inspiring future defenders to stand firm. It marks not just a past victory, but an ongoing promise to protect freedom and nurture unity for generations to come. In the rebuilt courtyard alive with the hum of daily life, a curious child tugs at Ryland's sleeve, eyes wide and shining with innocent wonder. They said, "Run. How did you know to stay?" The simple question hangs in the warm morning air, slicing through the heavy echoes of war and sacrifice. It bridges generations, linking the youthful face before him with the hard-fought legacy behind him. This moment embodies how stories of courage pass from heart to heart, inspiring new hopes rooted in the past sacrifices. Kneeling to meet the child's gaze, Ryland's voice is soft, almost a whisper carried on the morning breeze, because some battles can only be won by holding ground. His words carry the weight of years spent in fire and shadow, speaking not of brute force but steadfast presence. The answer captures the rebellion's essence, a victory found not just in action, but in enduring resolve. It speaks of sacrifice transformed into lasting hope, where survival is a quiet triumph etched in the soil beneath their feet. Standing behind Ryland, Sarah places a steady hand on his shoulder, her voice calm and unwavering, and some hearts refuse to flee. Her words echo the unyielding spirit that sustained their fight, a tribute to shared courage that transcends fear. Together, they embody the human bonds that fuel defiance, reminders that courage is as much about loyalty and hope as it is about combat. This quiet moment reveals the soul of resistance, a fellowship of hearts bound to endure. Above them, the Draxilus hammer's sigil pulses softly on the fortress gate, its emerald light a steady beacon against the dawn. The emblem stands as a silent witness to countless acts of bravery and sacrifice, a symbol that a single refusal to flee can ripple outward and reshape entire worlds. Its gentle glow ties together past sacrifices and future promise, illuminating a legacy of resilience. The sigil's light casts hopeful reflections on the faces gathered below, a living monument to the power of defiance to transform fate. The camera pulls back to reveal the vibrant courtyard bustling with life. Children playing beneath flowering trees, elders sharing stories, and families rebuilding together under the soft glow of twin suns. Fort Draxilus's story of battle, sacrifice, and steadfast refusal to abandon ground resonates far beyond its walls. It becomes a timeless testament that individual courage, multiplied through community, can alter the course of history itself. The final echo lingers, a universal truth ringing clear. When courage defies caution, it doesn't just save fortresses, it reshapes the destiny of worlds.